Imagine hearing a mysterious whisper on a cold December night. Could it be a ghostly reminder of a tragedy? Or just the wind being creepy at the worst possible moment? Hi, I'm Allie, running on oat milk and chaos today, but in a good way.
And I'm Brianne. I've had 1 tea, 2 biscuits, and approximately 0 patience for my alarm clock. Sorry, not sorry.
Welcome to the Veil, Unsolved and Unbelievable, where we, poke at the weird stuff behind the headlines and see what falls out. Okay, so check this out. Today we're talking about the hiss of Lockerbie and its connection to Pan Am Flight 103, a true story with a very eerie echo.
Ghosts and airplanes. Brilliant. Do they get a frequent flyer program? I'm kidding, sort of. You know I'm going to ask for receipts.
Back to the story. Here's what went down. Pan Am Flight 103 was a transatlantic service in December 1988, flying Frankfurt to Detroit with stops in London and New York. Passengers and bags from the Frankfurt feeder met the big bird at Heathrow, a Boeing 747 named Clipper Maid of the Seas, tail number N739PA, one of the earlier 747s built. It pushed back around 1804 from Terminal 3, took off at 1825, on schedule, climbed to flight level 310. By 1902, it was over southern Scotland. ATC read an oceanic clearance and the crew didn't reply. Seconds later, at 19:02:50, the cockpit voice recorder caught a brutal 180-millisecond hiss, then silence. A bomb in the forward cargo hold tore the fuselage. The nose separated within seconds. The aircraft broke apart over Lockerbie. The main wing box hit Sherwood Crescent. A massive fireball. Multiple homes gone. 11 residents on the ground killed. All 259 people aboard lost. That's 270 lives in total and the deadliest terror attack in UK history.
The British Geological Survey even recorded the main ground impact at 19:03:36, a 1.6 magnitude blip, which is an awfully clinical way of logging the worst moment in a town's history.
Victims came from all over. 190 Americans, 43 Britons, and many others. 35 were Syracuse University students heading home from study abroad right before Christmas. Families and locals formed bonds that still exist. People in Lockerbie staffed 24-hour canteens and even washed clothing that could be returned once it had no forensic value. Honestly, that detail wrecks me every time. Investigators recovered millions of fragments. The AAIB rebuilt sections of the plane and traced the blast to a Samsonite suitcase with a Toshiba radio cassette player and clothing linked to Malta. That evidence supported the case that a bag started in Malta, moved via Frankfurt, then on to 103 at Heathrow. Libya's Abdelbasset al-Megrahi was convicted in 2001. His co-accused, Lamine Fima, was acquitted.
And we should say there are controversies. Some families and campaigners argue the bomb could have been introduced at Heathrow. The Tony Gauci identification has been challenged. The timer fragment provenance has been debated. The Scottish Criminal Cases Review Commission even said in 2007 a miscarriage of justice may have occurred. Megrahi always maintained his innocence. And more recently, the US charged Abu Aguila Massoud in 2020 as the alleged bomb maker. He's pleaded not guilty and his trial is scheduled for 2026.
Okay, next up, the mystery part. And this is me being very clear. This is my theory. I call it the hiss of Lockerbie. Not a published paper, not official lore, just my way of describing something people say they feel on winter nights there, especially around the anniversary hour.
Conspiracy alert, but carry on. I'll keep my eyebrows at a respectful level for the moment.
Here's the deal. The CVR's last breath is that 180-millisecond hiss at 19:02:50. The ground impact hits the seismic log at 19:03:36. In town, folks mark that minute. Some keep porch lights on. Some say the lights flicker. Some swear the wind carries a thread-thin sound that's not quite wind, not quite anything, just long enough to raise the hair on your arms, then gone. Over the years, I've collected stories. A washing machine lid creaks open when no one touched it. A lonely sock appearing in the drum on a December night. Hedges rattling like wires even when the rest of the garden is still. And on Sherwood Crescent, the ground feeling different under your shoes, like it's holding something tight. For example, there's the story of the priest, Patrick Keegans, and his mum. Their house was the only one in that row not destroyed or gutted. The refrigerator freezer apparently shielding her. Physics, luck, miracle. Take your pick. In my head, that object becomes a sort of talisman in the story the town tells itself.
Wait. Let's separate what's moving from what's meaningful. The 180 millisecond hiss is a known recording artifact of an onboard explosion mangling the comms. It's not an ongoing broadcast from the beyond. And winter grids do flicker, especially where older wiring meets high demand and dodgy weather. Correlation is not causation, nor is it cousin dating causation.
I get that. I'm not saying there's literally a tape loop playing over the town. I'm saying memory has a sound. My theory is that Lockerbie feels tuned to that instant. The environment and the people carry a 180 millisecond echo, a whisper you catch right between the boiler clicking off and your next heartbeat. Can you imagine that exactness of time stamped into place and into us?
As a psychologist, I'm going to be deeply boring and say anniversary reactions are real. Grief gives us hypervigilance. Our brains are pattern-making machines. You get a specific minute, a specific place, and you'll notice every draft and every hum. Pareidolia isn't just faces in toast, it's hearing meaning in random noise. And the seismic record at 1903-36 is physics, not folklore proof.
Sure, but listen. People don't build rituals for nothing. The town washed clothes, returned them to families, lit porches, kept canteens running all night. That care carved grooves into daily life. So when a stairlight pulses twice in December then steadies, it's not only the grid, it's a reminder. It's the hiss. Short, electric, and it asks you to stand still and remember.
Won't argue with the meaning, but the mechanism, yes. Wind shear in narrow streets whistles, hedges rattle when gusts come off the hills, central heating and refrigerators cycle, older fluorescent bulbs can strobe as they die. That washer lid could be warped seals or cold metal shrinking. The mundane doesn't diminish the memory. It's just how houses behave in winter.
And I'll say the mundane plus the meaningful equals folklore. I'm not trying to prove telecoms from the afterlife. I'm saying the last sound on that cockpit tape became a shorthand for the moment everything changed. So yeah, the hiss. 180 milliseconds of static that lives on in the way the town listens to the wind and watches its lights. Isn't that bananas in the most human way possible?
Fine. On the feelings we agree, on the physics we disagree. The official findings are clear. A high-energy blast in the forward hold, instantaneous catastrophic breakup, no distress call. The British Airways pilot saw the fire on the ground. People did everything they could. Communities often anchor healing in stories. It doesn't need to be paranormal to be powerful.
Back to the facts. One more thing that sticks with me. 17 victims' remains were never recovered. That absence is part of why the anniversary minute matters. It's a way to hold space for something you can't hold any other way. The hiss, to me, is that space becoming audible for a heartbeat.
Let's put a pin in the debate and leave folks with the question that actually matters. How do we choose the stories we tell after a disaster? And how do those stories help a community keep going without losing the truth of what happened?
If you want a clear, detailed rundown of the investigation itself, go watch the Mayday episode titled Pan Am 103. It's a solid walkthrough of the forensics and the timeline without the spooky garnish I just sprinkled on top.
Weekend plans. I'm determined to fix the flickering light in my hallway, and when it blinks twice, I promise not to blame the hiss. Probably.
I'm going to find a proper warm coat and maybe stand outside for a minute on Saturday evening just to listen. Seriously, though, thanks for hanging with us. Remember to question the world, keep your heart open, and your porch light on when it counts.
Take care, be kind, and we'll see you next time under the veil.